We got a price check around the diamond here. Good morning to DraftKings contributor Kenny Ducey and Rotowire's Erik Halterman. Young Kenneth, who is your pitcher at $8,000 or higher tonight?
This is a really tough call because, there's a lot of teams that I used to target. Someone like the Miami Marlins, who now hit pretty well. So I'm going to go back to the well and go with the guy that I think is pretty good, but has had 2 bad starts in a row, and I don't think anybody is going to be on him. And that is Alex Wood at $8,500. I'm not in love with Adam Wainwright's matchup here. Sean Manaea, the Angels have been hitting very well against lefties. Alex Wood had a couple bad starts against the Angels and the Rangers, 2 offenses that we've seen in recent weeks that can really do some damage. And the strikeouts obviously dissipated. I do think that he's a good pitcher. He's got a pedigree. He's got a track record this year of pitching well from the left side. And when we look at the matchup here, it's probably the best on the board against the Arizona Diamondbacks, who, while they, over the course of the season, have hit lefties very well, have not hit very well against either-handedness over the last few weeks. They're guys that they got back, besides Ketel Marte, of course, Christian Walker, Carson Kelly, Asdrubal Cabrera. These guys could not be hitting any worse right now. It is a very easy team to target, in my opinion, and I think I'm going to attack them with Alex Wood.
All right, Kenny, while Erik gives his answer, try to refocus your camera for us. Your shot is just a little soft, my dude, and you're ruining the show.
Give me just a moment.
Just a moment. Erik, go ahead, dude.
Yeah, from my crystal clear HD here, perfect focus.
You're amazing. I see every hair on your face.
Thank you. Shaved just for you this morning. Anyway, back on topic. I'm going to go with a guy that has already been mentioned as somebody Kenny didn't like very much, and that's Adam Wainwright. On the season, a 4.03 ERA is fine, but that's actually held back by a couple duds in his first 3 outings. If you zoom in on just his last 9 starts, he has a 3.39 ERA and an 0.98 WHIP. On the season, he doesn't strike out a ton of guys, a couple ticks below league average there. But he doesn't issue many walks either, 6.2% walk rate to go along with an above average ground ball rate, 48.6%. As Kenny mentioned, maybe the Marlins are a little bit scarier now than they were before, but this is still a team that ranks 19th in WRC plus for the season. I don't think they're a lineup we should at all be scared about, especially at Busch Stadium, which is one of the more pitcher-friendly parks in the league. So I think it's maybe not the most exciting choice. You could maybe pay up for a Tyler Glasnow type if you want the chance at the very high ceiling. But I think Wainwright is completely fine at that second tier here.
13 games on this baseball slate, easy E. Who is your hitter over 5K?
Yeah, so I normally try to highlight someone with the platoon advantage, given, we've got so many possibilities. Might as well pick one who gets that extra boost. I normally try to pick somebody who's going against a pitcher who's worse than Nathan Eovaldi is. I think Eovaldi's completely fine, if not super scary. But I'm going to talk about Vlad Jr. anyway, because he's just that good. He's third among the healthy regulars on the slate in DraftKings points per game, but only tied for 14th in price. And honestly, he should probably be first in price most nights the way he's hitting right now. Homered in 3 straight games over the weekend. Over his last 11 games, he's got an OPS of 1491. If you zoom out a bit, over his last 27, that OPS is still up at 1350 with 13 homers. He's doing everything this year. His 21 homers lead the league by 3, and his 344 batting average is tied for second. So that elite power and contact that we thought we were going to see the last 2 years, when we didn't really, he was merely an above average hitter. It looked like he was already taking that next step at the start of this year. But then things are only getting better. He didn't come back down to earth at all. Again, over the last 27, 1350 OPS. So he's in a tier all by himself, and I'm not really sure why he isn't priced that way tonight.
All right, Kenny, what about you, man? Need a hitter over 5K, please.
Yeah, I'm going to go right to Nelson Cruz at $5,200. Take Nelson Cruz against a lefty every single day of the week, and especially here on Monday. Look at what he has done lately as well, Emerson. 3 home runs in his last 4 games. He's gotten 16 or more DraftKings fantasy points in those games because of, the said home runs, but also a monster game against the Yankees when Michael King started. He's a righty, but, a multi-hit game, 4 RBIs. Look, the guy's hitting the ball very well right now. He's one of the most trusted names in fantasy once again. And against the lefty here, I'm going to have to take him, especially a lefty as bad as Marco Gonzalez, who's just a soft tosser. Emerson, what more can I say about him? He's had some impressive starts against teams like the Dodgers, who just don't hit lefties very well at all. And on the whole, this year has been a big disappointment. So I actually think that he's a pretty fadeable pitcher here.
How about a value bat?
So I'm going to go to Coors Field, and I'm going to go with a guy that has not done anything in a very long time, but did hit fourth against the lefty last time out. And that's Will Myers at $4,400. I know that when we're talking about value, normally you look at maybe a Willie Castro, $2,500, you look in the bargain bin. But I personally think that Will Myers is a guy that has a lot of firepower. He has a lot of talent. He hasn't put it together too many times over the last month or so, but he hits fourth in this lineup against Austin Gomber at Coors Field. I really, really like him in this spot. You look at Austin Gomber, another guy that just doesn't throw the ball very well, doesn't strike out a lot of hitters. And I think Will Myers has a pretty good chance here against a guy that, to me, still does not deserve to be under 4 in his ERA. I think that his strategy here of pitching to contact, it has not worked out for him every time that he's faced a good lineup. And I think that once again here tonight, he struggles. So I'm looking for a few of the Padres. I like Tatis if you want to pay up, but I especially do like Will Myers here as a value bat.
Erik, how about your value bat, please?
Yeah, I'm going to stick in Coors Field and go to the other side of the dugout, other dugout, I guess. Anyway, Raimel Tapia at 3,800 should be leading off for the Rockies. He's on a 10-game hitting streak, hitting .457 over that stretch with 7 multi-hit games. You might say that might just be some, Babbitt-fueled luck, but he has a 50% hard hit rate over that stretch after having just a 31.3 hard hit rate prior to it. So he's making his best contact of the season. He's at Coors Field. He'll get the platoon advantage against Nelson Lamet, who is a pitcher that I like, but I don't think this season's version of him is one who's good enough for me to avoid, at least at Coors Field. 3.52 ERA, but some of the ERA estimators are up closer to 4. His strikeout rate had been, north of 30% for a couple of years, but is down to a merely good 27.3%. He doesn't keep the ball on the ground well at all. So I think the Rockies should have a chance to score a few runs against him, given that park, and might as well get the very hot leadoff man if you're going to select some Rockies.
Erik, what about someone you're absolutely fading tonight? You want nothing to do with, though.
Yeah, so it's going to be a guy we've already touched on. Have a little battle between me and Kenny today, and that's going to be Alex Wood. I'm just not seeing it with Alex Wood. I was really into Alex Wood early in the season, but those last couple starts are extremely shaky. A 9 ERA over his last 3 starts. If you zoom in on just his last 2, 4 strikeouts against 7 walks. That's extremely concerning to me. Even though the matchup is easy, even though the park is good, I'm just too worried about those last 2. 11 runs in 9 innings. And again, this is a guy who really struggled the last couple years too. So while there was reason to believe the hot stretch because he has some good patches on his resume a while back, last couple years have been shaky for him. And if he's sliding right back into that form, it's going to take at least one rebound before I'm back on him. I don't hate it as a punt in, larger tournaments, but he's definitely trending in the wrong direction.
Wow, Kenny, he's kind of got me convinced there. Sorry, bud.
Yeah, the last 2 starts obviously tell the whole story. Last night we saw Carlos Martinez with 15 earned runs in his previous 2 starts go out and allow 2 earned runs. So that's all you need to know right there with the two starts. No, look, it's going to follow along with my storyline here. The guy I don't like, and that's Sean Manaea at 10.1K. I think that people believe in Manaea right now based off of 2 starts. I think that, you look at a complete game win against a terrible Seattle offense, and then another great matchup against Arizona. I just talked about how they can't hit the side of a barn, and he pitched well against those 2 teams. So I think everyone's believing Sean Manaea is back. I don't think that that's true whatsoever. When you look at the fact that Sean Manaea has struggled all season long, his walks have been his walks have been good, but everything else has been concerning. His strikeout rate is down, and the thing about it is this is a good matchup. This is a team in LA that has the second highest WRC plus over the last 2 weeks. They have one of the best marks against lefties in the league in WRC plus. So I just don't see Sean Manaea coming out here and shoving against a team that he pitched well against 4 starts ago, but then the next time out, they got a little bit better. They're going to have a good read on him. And also they're pitching exceptional, or they're hitting exceptionally better than they were when the last time Sean Manaea saw him. So I think that he's going to struggle tonight. And he is absolutely not worth 10.1K.
Well, take us over to the DK Sportsbook here real quick, Kenny. How about your favorite baseball bet on this slate? What are you looking at? Is it your puppy?
I am absolutely looking at my puppy. She's eating a book. No, I like JT Brubaker.
Awesome. She's a smart dog. She likes to read.
She does, and we won't be able to read in a little bit once that book's destroyed. The Pittsburgh Pirates today, plus 110. I really like them. It's at 7 o'clock coming up against the Washington Nationals. John Lester, Erik loves to talk about those ERA estimators. They're not very kind to Mr. Lester with his pitching style. JT Brubaker had a couple bad starts a few weeks ago. I think everyone, the Brew Crew sort of disbanded, but I'm here to say I'm a proud member of the Brew Crew. I think that JT Brubaker is a pretty good pitcher, and I think he's going to generate a lot of strikeouts tonight against the Washington Nationals, a team that's been so-so. But you want to talk about limiting walks? This guy does it almost better than anybody in the league. He's a good pitcher, and the Pirates, they're starting to find a little bit on offense. I think this could be a little bit of a shock to the Nationals. I think they lose tonight. Okay,
Erik, your best baseball bet tonight?
Yeah, that was one of my top ones, but I'm going to go with the Diamondbacks Giants over 8. It's linked to what I talked about in the last section. Just pretty worried about Alex Wood's last few starts. I think even a lineup like the Diamondbacks should be able to score off him. These two teams are combining for 8.8 runs per game this season, so all they need is an average day tonight to hit that over, which I think they're going to get. Again, I think the Diamondbacks can score off Wood. I definitely think the Giants can score off Matt Peacock. He's a 27-year-old with no major league experience before this year, 23rd round pick in the draft back in 2017. That right there says most of what you need to know. You can also look at his 5.24 ERA and get a similar picture. Some of the ERA estimators there are a little bit kinder to him. In particular, XFIP, it has him below 4, but that's, I guess, because his ground ball rate is very high. 62.5% is a very good ground ball rate. Doesn't issue a ton of walks, but he also strikes out just 16.4% of opposing batters. I think he's a back-end starter at best, who good for him making the league from where he came from. As, again, a 27-year-old with no major league experience before this year, but I think that gives you a pretty clear idea of how hittable he is.